Welcome into today's discussion again about resilience, about the power and force within you that you and I share in common, not in difference and not in comparison. Welcome again. This is your 8:20 urgency meeting for the day. Your host, Ming. Hopefully to be number one in your heart, 8:20 on the dial and on your urgency scorecard. Welcome again to the open journal, the public ledger, I've been saying, your blockchain of resilience. This cannot be duplicated or corrupted. All transactions, like the one we're having today, with resilience that we're discussing today, is maintained in your open journal, in your public ledger, unlocked and accessible only to you and to those that you love. I have mentioned before that I want to leave an impression with you, a positive, productive impression. And I had jokingly said this podcast can or will change your life. Of course, I cannot ever guarantee that, but I can guarantee you this. This episode and other ones that you will encounter from me will at least change your perspective on this very present moment. Let's get into it today. Today's topic is called the low heaven. The low heaven. Consider it this way. This low heaven I'm talking about is soft on the eyes. That was a term that my son, Karan, spoke to me many months ago on a visit to the Southwest area, that certain areas are soft on the eyes. And almost like it gave me the impression that that softness of this low heaven and this area that you can encounter gives you margins, wide margins for success, wide margins of commonality and of your own essence that you can share. But also, as you can expect, there are certainly margins of error in your observations and definitely in your judgments and resistance or attachment to something before you saw this today. But also in this contextual and conceptual discussion, there are many degrees of freedom for us, to me and you, to choose how you're going to observe this, how you're going to communicate this observation, not just to someone else, to yourself first. And also those degrees of freedom to interpret, to communicate, to resolve, to resound what you're seeing and feeling. It also leads to another perspective on this prism, your degrees of tolerance of something you're observing. Very similar to what I'm saying about degrees of freedom and degrees of tolerance. But whatever perspective you choose today, remember, I guaranteed you to change your perspective on this present moment. So the past 2 minutes, I've talked about margins of error, margins of success, degrees of freedom, degrees of tolerance. However, all of those potentially perspective views are always leading towards the 8:20 message from me to you every day. And to remind you of the necessary common resilience and presence among us. And also to focus on the origins of the risk in our nature, but on maybe the outer margins of that risk and danger that we fail to define and discuss openly. Meaning everything we do, from getting in your car to go to the grocery store or stepping out of your door in the morning, there's always risk in that. Hell, even falling out of bed is a risk. We take that, but make sure you don't have to analyze every step we make and take, but at least to understand everything we do has a risk and benefit involved, a cost and benefit balance to make every day. As I mentioned to you before, or maybe the first time you're hearing me, I never provide you with absolute answers to anything. I have no answers for myself to myself, so I certainly cannot give you an answer to today or the issues of the day. But it backs me into, puts me forward into the question I'll also share with you today. Do you consider yourself a designer or a creator of your life? It's a real question because the answer is that we don't create anything. Everything brought in front of us or to us at birth and since, it's been created. It's already here as a resource for us to uncover, discover, recover, understand, and produce from what we find. Yeah, certainly, call yourself a designer or producer of what you encounter as an available resource, or maybe as a very difficult to attain resource, but it's out there for you and I to pursue. Kind of leads itself into that lower star access, meaning the lower heaven also brings the lower stars closer and closer to you and I every day. Be able to grasp onto, to touch, to feel, to sense, and to use those resources to produce what we are encountering within ourselves, encountering around ourselves, to produce what we are understanding of our individual and then collective purpose and message. These, as I described in the previous episodes and in the book itself, Resilience, the Beauty of Presence, I'm offering you models for this kind of self-discovery to make your journey efficient, the best for you now and not later. Only offering you some insights, some concepts, some examples from my perspective and my experience of drive and desire. These are not layers upon layers of undirected random activity. No, I'm offering you these perspectives and these perceptions as each day, each moment as a fresh layer of each moment, or at least each day that you do actually and actively participate and live. What I said earlier at the top of this message today was the low heaven, the lower stars for us to experience and touch and connect with. And also that lower heaven at your disposal, at my disposal, those lower stars to look at, to observe and communicate are for you less noise for your eyes to bounce off of. Stay safe, stay present, stay current. Remember, today it's still 8:20.